Welcome to the Not Superheroes, Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I am Sean Laurie. I'm joined by this amazing coach, father, teacher, Vincent. How you doing, my guy?
I'm blessed, man. I'm good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, man. I was a little thrown off my game a little bit, but
Right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What I like to do, man, I like to do an icebreaker, right, just to get things going, man. And so, obviously, you guys just moved to Colorado not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious, man. What is one of the favorite things that you guys like to do as a family since you moved out there? And then also, actually, what is a hidden, like, because everyone has those little places when it comes to favorite foods, right? So what is like a good spot to eat at in Colorado that most people like? Is it ribs? Is it soup? Is what is it there that you like, man? No, when you go to Colorado, everybody's gonna tell you check out this spot.
Ooh, so the second one's gonna be tough. The first one, my family and I, we really like going downtown. We really love going to the Rockies games. Being a veteran, I get a pretty good deal on tickets and stuff like that. It's a beautiful stadium, beautiful area. You're right next to Pepsi Center where the Avs and the Nuggets play. You're right next to Empire Mile High Field. I still call it Mile High Field where the
Yeah,
Broncos play and stuff like that. But it's really pretty, especially when the sun sets. It's a really pretty skyline and stuff like that. The food one is tough. So I wouldn't say we're picky eaters, but being from California, we've been spoiled. I
yes,
would say
yes.
Denver specifically, I'm not too impressed with their food scene. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay,
I think where we live at, Aurora is definitely more of a melting pot of cultures and stuff like that. The food is really good. I haven't found any favorites yet. Last night we had some Indian food from a place down the street. It was fire. They have some really good like sushi and like ramen and spots like that. The thing that I'm missing though is really good Mexican food. I have yet to come out here and find Mexican food that is either A, good, or B, like a decent price, because there's no reason I should be paying $40 for two burritos, some tacos, and some chips and salsa. So yeah,
that
like I haven't been
facts.
impressed yet, but I'm looking. If somebody
Look,
around here is listening, send me your recommendations. I will definitely go.
hey, it's funny you said it because I'm in the same boat. I haven't found no because like you said, we spoil like in San Antonio. I thought the tacos would be fire, right?
Mhm.
No. Like
Why?
California's tacos to me is like I still haven't found anything like ours. You know, you
Hmm.
because it dang near anywhere. You could be in IE, you could be in San Diego, you could be in LA. Like you're gonna find some fire tacos at some spot. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I haven't been impressed yet. So I mean, and people have been telling me, so I got to check it out. But anyone that's listening, if you have any recommendations as well for me out here in Texas, let me know.
Right. Right.
Also, real quick, just to piggyback off it, because you said you're in Denver, close to all the sports towns
Hmm.
or sports teams. I have to ask you because you're a Broncos fan.
I am.
So, how you feel about Bo Nix, man?
I'm excited. We'll see. I've
You
been
are
excited. I've been
okay.
excited about rookie quarterbacks before, and I have been highly disappointed. So I would say I'm optimistic, but I'm not holding my breath yet. I
Okay.
think being a football coach, I pay attention a little bit more. He's got every tool that you will want to check off on the list in terms of quarterbacks. But is that game going to transfer from college to the pros? I don't know. He's definitely an older rookie, 25 years old, was in some elite programs, has a really good arm strength and stuff like that. But, we've seen elite level college quarterbacks just flame out, especially the Broncos have. So, to be determined. I'm excited, though. I'm excited.
Okay. Okay. I mean, you have hope. That's all you can
Yes.
ask for, right? Hope.
Ask me again
um,
about week 6.
okay. Okay. I'll ask you. I'll see you rant on Facebook or something. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, he
Mm-hmm.
checked out. But okay. So today, y'all, I want to really just dive into as Vince's leading his family and has all these different things going as you teaching, as you coaching, right? I'm very big, bro. I'm very big on energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so just being very conscious of that. So I want to ask you, man, like, how do you make sure with everything you got going on, how do you make sure that your energy is right when you go home?
I think it's more of being conscious of not bringing the same energy from different spaces into your home, right? Me trying to be the spiritual leader of my home, I have to be aware that when I walk through the door of my house, it's not Mr. Baum anymore. It's not Coach Baum. I'm dad. I'm babe. I'm husband. Right, and the energy has to be different. I can't be, upset about something that happened on the practice field or that happened in my classroom or in a staff meeting or something like that, and bring that home because they're not my coworkers. They're not my athletes. So they're my daughters and they're my wife. So I have to be aware of that and make sure that like I'm paying attention and saying like, okay, park the car in the garage real quick, take a deep breath. It's time to shift into whatever that next phase is. Is it dinner time, bedtime, whatever it may be.
I like that, man. So then, have you ever seen it? Because I can speak for me, where I remember growing up. Sometimes my mom, she had a lot on her plate, but her energy would be off when she came home, and that would affect us, right? Where all of a sudden, we're kind of walking on eggshells, or we're kind of me and my sister would kind of go at each other just because of the energy and things like that. So, have you ever caught yourself bringing the energy you necessarily didn't want to at home? And if so, like how did that affect the household?
Yeah, I mean, we're all human. It happens, right?
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but in the same vein, like I'm really blessed to have a good partner in my wife to where I could come home sometimes and say, "Babe, I need 5 minutes. I need to go walk around the block. I need to go sit in the backyard and look up at the sky for a second, or I need a 10-minute nap, like whatever it may be." Because when I've done that before, it's definitely changed the energy. The girls are wondering, why is dad upset? What's wrong? Or something like that. I have to remind them, come back and apologize afterwards. There's nothing wrong with apologizing, but say like,
Yeah.
it wasn't your fault. It wasn't anything that you guys did. I'm happy to be home, but making sure that they know that when I come home, I still want to be front door famous. I want to come home and be like, hey, dad's here. And, everybody be happy that I'm here and me be happy that I'm there too. And so just taking that time for myself and making sure I'm taking care of myself too, even if it's just 5 minutes, and just being like, yo, I need a break for like 5 seconds. Let me get, a deep breath real quick. Let me grab some water and then, switch into that dad mode.
I like that, man. Yeah, no, that's definitely a key what you saying. Like with everything, right? Not even just when you get home, just in general. Like I know me and my lady are very conscious of making sure, even it happens where you have disagreements, right? I try to make sure, at least for me, I make sure that my kids never feel that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm making sure that okay, they can't even tell nothing's off, or like you said, I have a long day at work, or because I coach as well, right? I coach
Yeah.
and we lost, and I have to let that go. Okay, you know what? I get about 5 minutes to kind of get upset, and then okay, I got to wash that away,
Right.
right? And then I got to go home and make sure I'm being dad, I'm being hubby. I'm making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So I agree with you, bro. I definitely understand that. So I would ask you then too, bro, is excuse me, how do you make sure? Because like you said, you have so much going on. So how do you make sure you're present in the home? And the reason why I asked that is because, as you know, or I'm pretty sure you remember, where at Relevant, where I was working with the kids, and I actually had my program and stuff like that. And some of them actually voiced to me, and I've seen it as well, where they're like, "Man, you know what? My dad is home, but he's not home,
Mm.
right? So he's home, but I don't feel his presence. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he might as well just be, just a neighbor at this point, right? Type of situation. So, how do you? And I know you're involved in your family, but I guess I want to ask you, like, how do you make sure you're present, and then have you ever witnessed or seen that as well, where it's like, especially with you coaching these young men and teaching these young men, where it's like the father's there, but he's not there.
Yeah. I mean, I could even like snitch on myself. I would never say that I was never like present in my house, but like I had to take a time period um where I was just off of my phone completely. It was one of those things where I had to recognize the distractions that was going on in me. And my wife was actually the one who brought it to my attention. She's like, you're here sometimes, but like, the girls are talking to you. It doesn't seem like you heard them real quick. And I had to check
Mhm.
myself and take it with a grain of salt, swallow it real quick and be like, yeah, you're right. And so the one thing that I did for myself was I had to start um, being more disciplined about how I was parenting and how I was showing up inside of my house. For me
Mm.
personally, it started with just the season of Lent. I decided to just get off of social media. I think we talked about it too. I
Yeah.
had to get off of social media. I deleted Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I deleted it all off my phone and just kind of started on a regimen of, some people would call it self-betterment, but I would just call it like a discipline journey. Being in the military, I know what it's like to be disciplined. I know what it's like to set yourself up to a higher standard, and I realized that I wasn't achieving that higher standard that I thought I could achieve. So I had to start
Mm,
doing that. For me, what's really helped me is I journal, and I have a little mini pocket journal that I keep my whole schedule on. So in
that's
that, I've removed social media as a distraction and used it more of as a tool now. But reading a lot more books, being present, playing just games with my kids. And the other thing too was taking that distraction away from my daughters as well. We have these kids that are on iPads and Kindles and whatever it was, and my wife and I noticed actually at the beginning of this summer, like, yo, this isn't good. Like, this is one of those every day the girls are on their tablets for a couple hours a day and they don't want to be around each other. They're being mean to each other. So it's something that we made a decision as parents to just remove. And with me removing that from them, we took away the TV for a while and stuff like that too. I have to make sure that I'm doing it as well. I'm not, watching sports on my iPad or scrolling through Instagram and stuff like that. If I say if I said I want you to be present, I got to be present too, and I got to lead by that example.
I like that, bro. No, I definitely agree. And I've had those same conversations before where, my lady be like, "Hey, you're constantly on social media, especially when, in those Facebook sport groups and stuff like
Mhm.
that." Excuse me, where I was on it all the time. Now it's crazy because I have so much going on and because of just my mind shift. Honestly, I don't even have a desire to be on social media like that. To be
Right,
honest,
right,
it's there. It's it's cool, but I've learned because it can be addicting, right? It can be very
right.
addicting. It can become a drug almost in a sense. You know what I mean? Where you get that high being on social media. So I'm very very conscious of that, and I want to ask you too because like you said, making sure which is great. Like you understood that being present. Have you ever and maybe you haven't, but I've just seen it before. That's why I'm more so. I'm not even necessarily saying with you, just in general. How do you make sure? Because I've seen it where, um, like in the household, there might be a father that kind of he's present, but he's maybe more so present with the kids, or he's maybe more present with his lady,
Mm,
right? So how do you make sure? Because from what I've seen is and which isn't good, obviously, but I've seen it at times where the father, the man, is so focused on the woman and what the woman's doing, the child becomes an afterthought,
mhm.
right? And I've also seen it the other way where they're so focused on the kids that now their relationship is suffering.
Right.
So how do you make sure that you have that balance? Because it's that fine line, and you don't want it to be one of those things where one is lacking more than the other.
Yeah, it's hard for sure to keep that balance. I think my wife and I are a little bit lucky when it comes to the kids, and it's a double edged sword because us moving out to Colorado, we don't have any family out here. We're building a church community, but we don't have a ton of friends that can watch our daughters all the time. So our daughters are with us constantly. They're
Yeah,
at My wife coaches softball and soccer. I coach football and track. It's the same season, so they're always up at the school with us. We're always picking them up. My wife works at our church. They're always at the church with us. We're always driving them in the car, out the car. So what's really been hard is being intentional with the time that I have with my wife. Um, the girls are
mm,
always around us, but we recognize last track/soccer season that we had to be intentional about the time that we were spending with each other. Right? We can't be in the last hour of the day just sitting next to each other in bed scrolling through Instagram reels all day. Like, we have to be conscious of it. So it's been tough, but we've been getting better at it. Last year, like we went to Italy and like parts of Europe, and we were really blessed to have people watch them. But we have been really intentional about spending time together and making
yeah,
sure that time is really intentional of not having the girls around. Not saying that we don't love them, but
yeah,
like
of course.
we try and make sure that we're going on dates every you know couple of months. There's sometimes
Yeah,
where it doesn't happen. We've also picked up a devotional that we try and do every Saturday together, watching movies together and stuff like that. And just like I said on our last vacation, we try and plan some kind of big or small trip, whatever it may be, every year. So Right now, I'm counting down the days. We got about 10 days left before my wife and I are without kids going to Mexico for about 4 to 5 days, just to have that time to reconnect and look at each other and be like, oh, yeah, I do still like you. It was the kids that was pissing us off. Like, we are still friends. Like, got it.
No, that's good, man. No, and what I love too though is like right, even like what I was saying, basically, making sure one's not lacking. The great thing with you two as well is you guys are both so involved too,
Mm,
right? So even though at times like hey we're so focused on the kids or we not don't have as much time as we want with each other, you guys are still doing life together. And maybe some of that is because you're forced to, in the sense, because you don't have that family, right? So it's like
right.
we're going to constantly be together, but making sure, hey, okay, yes, I love these kids, but I got to make sure I also show attention to my wife as well, right? So that's
Right.
a beautiful
I
thing,
mean,
bro.
she was my wife before they were my kids, right? And when my kids are
Yes,
out of the house, she's still going to be my wife. She's got to be the person that I lean on. So if
yes,
that's not tight, my family dynamic is just going to fall apart.
yes, yes. And they're looking too, right? They're
Right.
looking how you treat mama, right?
Mhm.
Especially with you having girls, right? They're
Oh
looking.
man.
So you know what I mean? So they're watching every single thing, and you know that. So okay,
Yeah.
there's a certain way I need to make sure I'm talking to her. There's a certain way I need to make sure I'm catering to her needs, understanding certain things. When you get your wife, flowers or whatever the case is, they're looking at that, right? And you're like, okay, I want to make
True.
sure I'm setting that example.
Pro tip though, if you have girls like I do,
Yeah.
if you get your wife flowers, you got to get the girls flowers too.
Yes, yes, you
My
do.
wife
You
told
do.
me that it's like you said, I'm going to be the first example of what a man is in their life, or a spouse in general. And so I got to make sure, like my wife and I joke about it all the time, I got to make sure I'm setting the bar super high, right? So no little raggy little boy is just going to be like, oh yeah, I picked you a dandelion. Like, no, when my wife gets a bouquet of flowers, the girls don't get as big a bouquet, right? I'm not
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to ball out on them, but they get their flowers, they get their candy, they get their time with dad. I don't talk to them crazy because I want to make sure that when they find whoever it is that they want to spend their life with, spend their time with, that they're treating them just as good, if not better than how I treat my wife.
That's facts, bro. No, I understand too. That's why I'm like, man, girls be expensive because of that reason. Right? Where
Mm,
I'm like, I get my lady something, I'm like, okay, I gotta get my girl something, like, you know what I mean? And then I know how my boys is doing better understanding because they want stuff. I'm like, look, man, look, y'all, I gotta make sure I take care of these girls. I'm gonna
right,
get y'all
right,
later. We gonna hang out. We gonna do our thing. You know what I mean? But yeah. So I definitely understanding that too. Is just making sure. But again, that's also, even in that sense, bro. You're also being present with that, right? You're being
right,
intentional and present with your kids, which is a beautiful thing. So you're letting them know, hey, this is this. Also, you're setting a standard,
right.
right? And that's what you all, like you said, there was moments where you weren't, but the fact that you're conscious of that, and you listen to your lady, where you're like, oh yeah, I got to make sure I make sure that they're good too, and you're meeting them at their level, because that's the thing
Mhm,
too. I feel like at times where we may disconnect, maybe not with our spouse, but with our kids,
mhm.
is we're not trying to meet them where they're at. We, oh man, let me just go on the phone real quick, like you said, like it's so easy to go on the phone, or I'm trying to watch this game, and they're like, hey dad, can you come on the floor and play dolls with me?
Right.
Man, I really want to do that, right? But at least for me, like, because there is times I'm like, man, I got to edit this pod, I got to do this, I got to do that, all these different things, and then my daughter look at me like, come on, dad, please, and I sit there with her and just giving her, 30 minutes of my time, because she's super excited,
Mhm.
right? She's super hyped over it, like, oh, thanks, da, da, da. And of course, at least for my kids, I don't know about your kids, man, but when you play it, they think that means for like hours.
Yes.
They like, oh, so this means all day. I'm like, well, let me rest real quick. I know we've been playing restaurant for like 2 hours now. Can I
Right.
can I relax? You know
Not
what I
just
mean? But
playing, like I said, we have them with us all the time. So my daughter's biggest thing every day we get, where are we going today, Dad? I'm like, no, we just going home. We staying at the house. Like, we're not going anywhere. What do you mean we're not going anywhere? We're not going to the park. We're not going to practice. Like, we're not going to the mall. Like, no, we're gonna enjoy the mortgage that we have. We're sitting here. Okay, we're gonna sit.
for real, man, no, that's real. That's real, bro. So, um, with that being said, then, bro, how do you are you like the same way you make sure you're present with your family and your kids and things like that? do you try to be that way too with not, I mean, obviously your job is teaching and coaching, but are you like that with
Hold on.
your
Hold on. Hi. Can I have my stapler? If you don't staple your hand, sure. Yeah, go ahead. I'm using it to write a story. You're gonna write a story? I can't wait to read it. Can you turn the fan on for me? This over there on the right side. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's dope. See, look, real dad moment right there too, man. That's hey, it never stops though. That's why I be trying to tell folks like
But
when you
you know
become
what?
a dad, it never stops.
You give them the whole spiel before. Daddy's gonna be on a podcast. Please don't interrupt. If it's an emergency, come and get me. You know the one thing. Can I get your stapler? Sure. Goodbye. Go. Yeah, sure. Take the stapler. I guess.
Well, look, like you said, man, it's because you and the girls, so they know, like, you know what, we get to do whatever now. It's
Yeah.
party time. He
Yes.
don't even know we about to staple all his clothes together
Man, that's why.
right now.
But please don't staple your hands, right? Like, if there's no blood, I'll get the staples out. We'll be all right.
That's funny, man. No, but I just want to ask you, man, like, are you conscious and making sure that, I guess, well, because especially with coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
In coaching, in a sense, you're almost like a father figure for some of these kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? So are you are you making sure that you're present with maybe some of your players don't need that, but are you present um with some of your players? And if so, how is that dynamic? Because obviously it's different, right? Especially because you have girls where you're dealing with a bunch of boys, a bunch of young men. So how is that?
Yeah, like it's tough, man. So where I work specifically, it is not the best area. Like if I had to
Okay.
compare it to being back home, it'd be very similar to like Moreno Valley, San Bernardino. A lot of these kids are
Mhm.
either gangbangers or think they're gangbangers. Parents are working or just not at home at all. So I'm very aware of the fact that like I am quote unquote a father figure for some of these kids. And it does change that dynamic a little bit, but I feel like I'm blessed to be put in that position to show these kids that there's still somebody that cares about them, that loves them, that wants better for them. Like, and I talk about this girl all the time, but I have a surrogate daughter. She's literally the minute I started working at my school, she started up. She says, "You're my dad." I'm like, you're definitely not my child, but okay. But I'm just so proud of her because she comes from not the greatest of situations to now she's a full-time student at LSU and telling me about all these opportunities that she has. And she's just one of the many students in the small 4-year span that I get to impact and get to be around. And it's a blessing, and it does take a little toll on your heart when you're like, man, like you messing up, and I can only do so much for you, right? Like I'm not your parent, right? I can guide you, I can mentor you, I can try and be as much of a father figure as possible. But when you're messing up, like I'm gonna tell you you're messing up. I'm gonna love you through it and stuff like that. But at the same time, I can't fix it for you, or fix it for you in a way that I would for my own daughters or for my own sons if I had them and stuff like that. So it's tough. It's harder for sure. But I love the situation that I'm in. Right, not a lot of people get to impact kids in a way that I feel like I get to every day. And me personally, I'm a PE teacher. I see the majority of my school population every single day. Our classes are huge, they're overfilled, whatever. But every single day, I get to make sure that I tell these kids, like, hey, good morning. My morning classes, I make sure they go get breakfast. Did you eat something? Give them a hug. Make sure you know I love you. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Come back. I want to see you again. Just let them know that somebody cares.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, bro. No, that's dope, man. Like the impact you and right, like you said, and that goes back to making sure because of your even if you don't want to use father figure, a positive male role model for them, right? So it's one of those things where they might be messing up with certain things, and you're like, oh man, like come on, like get it together, right? And like you said, that can really just put a strain on your heart because you care so much. You want all these kids to succeed, especially their backgrounds, their stories, right? And then you're dealing with that, and then you come home, right? So just to be able to try to readjust everything, like okay, you know what? Right now, I can't worry about that. Like you said, man, I hope the best for them, but now I need to make sure I give that same intention, same energy, right, and attention to my family here. So
Nobody gets it more than my girls, right? They're
Yes,
definitely going to get the 100% best part of dad that they can possibly get. I give bits and pieces out to everybody that I can. I'll give wisdom and inspiration to anybody that I can. But like at a drop of a hat, I'll stop everything that I'm doing for my kids, just like any good father would.
yes, absolutely. No, absolutely, man. That's all. Like I be saying, man. I don't. As much as they drive me crazy, I don't know what I would do. If anything they need or something like that, and if I can't do it, like it drives me crazy. So I definitely understand that, bro. I definitely do. As we close out, bro, then I want to just, I guess if you can just give any type of advice or any type of someone that might be struggling with that, right? Like I said, there is dads out there where they're present but they're not present, right?
Mhm.
Or their priorities are others are on other things. It could be they're still taking their work at home. They're more so focused on bills. They might be focused on, maybe they are focused on their lady, right?
Mhm.
Or shoot, not even if you're a single dad, but you're raising your kids, right? You're focused on that chick on Instagram or DM her or whatever the case is, right? So whatever's going on. So what advice would you give, man, for just that father that is struggling with that isn't always present, with his family?
I mean, I got some advice and I got three book recommendations.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
the
definitely.
advice would be remember that you set the standard as a husband, as a father, as the head of your household, whoever you are, you get to set your own standard. So when it comes to setting the standard, if you're not meeting that standard, it's time to take a deeper look at yourself and understand that like I can do better, and then start taking the steps to do better. Nobody's
Mm,
perfect, you know what I mean? Nobody's asking you to be perfect every single day either. But if you start making a conscious effort every single day, you'll be better. I say there's two things that I always tell people that go into how I run my life. It's discipline and consistency. If you're disciplined, you'll be consistent. If you're consistent, you're going to be disciplined, right? Either
mm,
way, that's always how it's going to be. And with that, I think the three books that really helped me when I was going through my social media fast, whatever it would be the first one is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Hi, baby. The second one would be Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And then the third one, I can't remember. Oh, James Clear. It would be Atomic Habits by James Clear. Sometimes you have to understand that in Extreme Ownership, it talks about owning everything that happens around you, right? Whether it's a good thing, bad thing, whatever, I can only control myself, right? And that's kind of what David Goggins talks about in himself. It's just a really good memoir that I like. And it's really similar to how I think in my head with both of those two. And then with Atomic Habits with James Clear, it's one of those things where your habits kind of shape who you are as a person. So if you're getting stuck on social media, you're getting stuck with work and stuff like that, it's time to analyze the habits that are surrounding those things that are probably causing you to get stuck in those cycles of, oh yeah, I get home and the first thing I do is I kick off my shoes and I open up Instagram, and then my kids talk to me and then I get annoyed because I haven't decompressed from work, da 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 da, and then just keeping that cycle going, right? So adjusting your mindset and adjusting your habits, I think, are two really good steps to start understanding like, hey, I can be present and get stuff done and still enjoy the things that I like to do as well.
I like that, bro. And real quick too, just one more time, can you give the listeners the three recommendations
Three
again?
recommendations. So it is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins,
Hmm.
Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, Jocko, and then Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can hopefully post in a link, y'all, for on YouTube as well as stuff for y'all
And
to check that out.
if you don't like to read, get the audiobook.
Oh, there, look, see, there's no excuse, y'all. Y'all can just listen. There's no excuse, man. But no, bro, I definitely appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time, man. And
Always, always.
obviously we don't get to talk as often, but just seeing the things you're doing, man, and seeing how you and your family's flourishing as you guys made that huge move. What I mean, I definitely get proud of what you guys got going on and what you're doing, bro.
Man,
So
same
I
to you,
appreciate
bro.
you,
Like, dads need more of this. I appreciate what you do for this dad community. Keep pushing it out. Keep grinding, man. Extremely proud of you and your wife and your kids. You know, it's hard being away, but, we're going to make it work.
Oh yeah, bro. No, definitely, bro. I definitely appreciate you, man. And like always, y'all make sure y'all share, make sure y'all like, make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, right? And remember, you don't have to be perfect. but you always have to be present. See y'all on the next one.